For the past 2 years, one man has dominated the high-powered GT class.
It has been all Michael Galati.
Galati has not made a mistake.
Michael Galati defends the championship he won last year.
But in 2003, several worthy challengers are poised to stake their claim to the title. The off-season switch to new rubber means more speed, especially for the big horsepower American muscle cars. The GT season starts now in historic Sebring, here on Speed. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway here in Florida for round one of the 2003 Speed GT Championship. Hi, I'm Lee Diffie along with Johnny O'Connell. Johnny and I will bring you the action all the way through the year of one fantastic championship. Manufacturer diversity like you wouldn't believe. 8 different manufacturers will line up here at Sebring. BMW and Audi, that is the big talking point. But don't forget about the likes of Porsche, etc. It will be very, very tight racing. Johnny, welcome to you again. The big talking point this year and the feature point of this championship and the difference is the tyres. Now that can sound a little bit boring, but it's going to be major. We've gone from road tyres to racing tyres. Tell us the difference.
It is going to be huge because in this category of racing, you have so many drivers that are specialists. Guys, you know, I can go back in history, guys like Bill Cooper, who may not have ever had great success in the faster cars, but when it came to production-based cars on street tires, God gave them a gift. And you see a lot of guys out there and a lot of guys in the series that have developed those skills on the street tires. Well, now that we're going to a true racing tire, you know, those drivers that have maybe been in other categories of cars and have a lot of experience on real racing tires, and there is a huge difference, are going to be at a distinct advantage. I mean, when I look at guys like, you know, a Bill Auberlen, who is an incredibly gifted driver, he's going to have an advantage over so many of these guys that have been competing here the past couple of seasons because he's so much more familiar with how a racing tire is going to work versus a street tire. So it's going to be exciting to watch and see how the guys with experience in this series but without that type of tire are going to adapt.
Continuing to talk about tyres, let's expand on that more. Andrew Marriott tells us more.
Yes, Lee, a huge story in GT this year is the tyres. Here is the Toyo which ran last year. This is the tyre they used. This is basically a street tyre. It has been skimmed for racing purposes, but it is quite a hard, durable tyre. This is the tyre right here they're going to use for 2003. Look, it just looks like a Formula One tyre with the radial groove here. You can just feel it. It's much stickier. It's of a full racing construction. But most significant of all, it's wider, quite a bit wider than last year's tyre. Now, all the GT runners are using this tyre, but it really helps the American muscle cars. John Young, Celine, and of course the Corvette. They really like this extra rubber on the road. It gives them a better balance, and it's going to give them a chance to beat the Germans with their BMWs and their Audis.
The first time we bolted the tires on the car, I fell in love with them. This Toyo tire is just awesome. Just couldn't believe how fast I could go through the corners.
I think they're not helping me because they're much easier to drive. And I always thought I had a little advantage because the street tires are excellent street tire, but the race tires are designed for racing, and it's a much more comfortable feel on the track on these new Toyos that are a racing compound.
These are a softer compound and very much more stable and predictable than where we were before.
I think Toyo did a great job. I mean, it's really good. It's more fun to drive the car now. It's more forgiving if you make a mistake. You know, you're not sliding off the track. It's more forgiving, so it makes for better racing.
And that new Toyo rubber will get a solid workout this afternoon around this 3.7-mile circuit. Johnny, talk us through the feature points.
Well, I tell you what, Sebring International Raceway is very old. It's got a lot of history. Turn 1 is a great corner. It's very fast, 4th or 5th gear. 2, 3, 4, very tight. You're not going to see a whole lot of passing there, but again, one of the great things about Sebrings is this straightaway, and going into turn 7, it's hard braking for the hairpin, a lot of passing. Most other critical corners, turn 16, get fast out of that, you're going to be good into Sunset Bend.
Well, Phil McClure here has never been in this position before. His first ever pole in the Corvette. Phil, you're feeling a little nervous, and what's your strategy?
Well, not really too nervous. We've been working at this for quite a while. I hope to beat my former teammate to turn number 1 is my strategy.
What about these tyres? Because you are on much better rubber, it's wide, and it really suits this Corvette.
We've been developing this car for 4 years now, and with the tires we had previously, we're about the extent of our mechanical grip, which really helped us once we had a tire that we could really get some traction and width that suited the car out of.
Phil, thanks very much. Well, let's see if he can beat the might of the German industry over there with Audi and the new BMWs, although they have a problem.
They most certainly do have a problem. Boris said is stuck out on track, and from what we can see, the front end, there is a problem with the front brakes. The front end of the car is just seized and Boris cannot move. Meanwhile, his teammate Hans Stuck is stationary as well. He has not made it onto the circuit. He got caught at the dummy grid with a broken rear axle. There is the PTG team. Problems down there. Let's hear more. Here's Andrew Marriott.
Well, dramas. You've got two cars in trouble. One's going to start, the other isn't. What's happened to Boris? What's happened to Hans?
Well, we broke the differential in Hans' car, but changed it so he will start from the pit lane in last place. Something happened to Boris's brakes. The front brakes are locked up, and the car won't move. I really don't know what it is, other than something got jammed up. We'll see what we can do about it.
New car problems.
I think that's probably right, yes.
Thanks very much. Bad luck.
Johnny, tough break for the PTG boys.
It really is, and we got to give Tom some more credit. I mean, he's built great race cars, just hasn't had time to iron out all the problems.
So a very awkward start. Before we even start, stick around, we'll be back. Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by the US Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. And by BMW. Visit your local BMW centre for a test drive. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway for the opening round of the 2003 Speed GT Championship. Cars are on track, but there is one very important car that is not. But thankfully, Hans Stuck has made it to pit lane, and that is where he will start this race, Johnny O'Connell.
This is going to make for an exciting deal for all the fans here. Hans Stuck, of course, one of the greatest drivers in sports car history, starting from the back.
Phil McClure will start from pole. He broke the existing lap record by 6.6 seconds. Amazing stuff. And alongside him is Randy Popes in the new Audi. John Young, Mike Fitzgerald make up the second row. Back to row 3, another one of the new Audi RS6s. The 2 times defending champ, Michael Gallardi, alongside Bill Aublin in the best placed PTG BMW. Hans Stuck on our graphic, but obviously in pit lane. We then go back to Boris Said, who is also really trying hard to get back out on track. He starts alongside Michael Culver, who will have that road to himself. Farmer and Weems fill up row 6. We take a look at row 7. Rob Fellows, younger brother to Ron Fellows, who's having a busy weekend this weekend, and Jimmy Adams in one of many Porsches. Jim Rathman Jr. and Henry Gilbert, both Corvette drivers, fill up row 8. Row 9, Charles Espinal. It's been a very busy day today for Charles. Just finished the touring car race. He starts alongside Scott Finlay. Tony Gaples and Brad Flowers, the 10th row. I just can't believe it, Johnny. You have to reflect back as we roll through the rest of the grid, just reflecting on PTG's troubles at this early stage.
Well, you know, I spoke to Tom Milner earlier, and, you know, he's keeping his fingers crossed that things go well. But again, they got a late start. They didn't get to do the testing they wanted. They had rotten luck early in the week when a car crashed into Boris Said as he was going down pit lane. So they really started out the season behind the 8 ball. But he's got great drivers, and great drivers sometimes can overcome very difficult circumstances.
And they are a strong team as well. This is the McMillan Motorsport car being run by PTG this weekend. Tom Milner's 3rd car not quite ready. So Hans Stuck, the legendary sports car and ex-Formula 1 driver in that McMillan Motorsport BMW. Let's see what kind of progress Hans can make, as everything is idle at the moment. And I can tell you what, the weather is closing in fast here at Sebring. And there is that vacant grid spot. The revs rise. The 2003 Speed GT Championship is set to blast into action, and it does. And look at those Audi Quattros blast off the line. Galati just rocketed from position 5, and Randy Popes on the outside of the front row. Randy Popes will take them into turn 1.
That was an amazing start. I have not seen a car do a whole shot like that in a long time. I mean, really, they made everyone else look like they completely missed a light.
On board with Michael Gallardi, the 2 times defending champion. The saline of John Young, last year's Rookie of the Year, tucked in behind. But those brand new Audi RS6s just rocketed. Look at Randy, already has a gap over his teammate, and Phil McClure, our pole sitter, is back in 4th.
Yeah, and right here we see Young. You know, again, the strength of the Celine or the Corvette, it's going to be horsepower. And at Sebring here, that's a huge advantage. And right there, Young just completely outpowered the Audi.
Down into the hairpin, our first positional change. Now our pole man, McClure, shadows the champion, Gallardi. Look at the clouds in the background. We will be very fortunate to get through this race without rain. Problems there for 63, Mike Hartley. Able to continue on, though. We go back on board with Gallardi. Look how close McClure is. He goes one way, then the other. Has it paid off? Not quite yet.
You're not going to make that move there, but what he's showing is that he's very strong.
Whoa! Victor Contreras in the Porsche, and it looked like it could have been Adam Andretti in the Corvette. They got tangled up, and that is a tough break for Contreras. There is fluid coming out of that car everywhere, and that is the end of his first round of the year.
That's not the way you want to start it. As we look back at McClure here, he's got a lot of pressure right now on Gallardi. And as we go out on the back straightaway here in a second, right now we're 14, 15. Right now we're coming out on the back straight. Let's see the difference between that Chevrolet horsepower and that Audi horsepower.
And let's talk about Porsche power as well, because Mike Fitzgerald is in there as well. First and second, Randy Popes leads the way in the champion Audi. Then it's John Young. Here comes Phil McClure, shadowing Gallardi, thinks about the inside run, and here is Mike Fitzgerald. So the top 5 all bunched up nicely. Now the inside run for McClure. He gets it.
Well, it looks like the Corvette actually got him under braking and handling there. I expected him on the straightaway just to go right by Gallardi, but obviously they have those engines turned up quite strong on the Audi. Tough, you know, it's a tough deal for Gallardi there. But Phil, I know he's thinking, hey, I'm the fastest guy. I had the pole. I got to catch up to these guys. You know, you've had both Popes and Young make outstanding starts. And so right now you got Phil McClure trying to run up to him.
Let's take a look at an earlier incident involving Victor Contreras. Talk us through, Johnny. Self-inflicted?
Yeah, it's completely self-inflicted. I mean, he probably just had too much rear brake bias on. And sitting there in the middle, there's nothing he can do. And boy, Andretti, that was a tough deal. He turned into the corner and got punted there again on top of everything.
We go on board Gallardi. Here comes Bill Auberlen diving on the inside under brakes. Now we must document the fact that these new Audis have been experiencing some brake problems throughout the weekend. We go back up front. Popes is under pressure, increasing pressure from the saline of John Young. Look at the power on that thing.
That is a very strong car. You know, of course, I know Rob Fellows really well from, you know, he being brother to my teammate. And he was telling me that those cars have so much horsepower that it's a riot to drive, but hard to control. And but it looks like Young really has his car dialed in. But he's dealing with Randy Popes, a very experienced and calm driver. Randy knows what his job is, and it's going to be interesting as this season goes along to see how he and Gallardi work as teammates, because Gallardi, again, he's used to being the #1 guy, and now you got a guy, you know, who's a real gunfighter, and Randy Popes, who wants to show everybody, hey, this is how fast I am. And Randy's mature. He knows how to lead a race. It's going to be tough for Young to get by, but we see McClure, looks like he's closing in.
It's Audi, Saline, Corvette, Porsche, the top 4 positions. We mentioned at the top of the show plenty of change with drivers and teams, and Popes is one of the biggest ones, coming from Porsche to Audi. Now look at this, John Young side by side with Randy Popes and just rounds him up in turn 17.
That was horsepower, pure and clear, but again, you know, it's funny because I thought Randy being on the inside with the handling of that Audi, he might have been able to run in a little bit deeper and just actually, you know, push Young out to where there was no way he'd be able to make that pass.
Whoa, and look at this, Johnny, look at this, 3 abreast into turn 1, and Phil McClure, our pole sitter, goes from 3rd to 1st.
That was huge. I don't know whether anything happened to Young. It looks like Young is slowing down. He's got a problem. And Randy going to the inside. McClure, that was a huge move going to the outside. He wins the Bravery Award for sticking it out there, because, boy, that was taking a big chance.
Good reactionary driving, too, from Bill Auberlen. He came up on the back of John Young very fast on the exit of turn 1 and avoided him. That is a shame for John Young. We don't know if it's over yet, but he is certainly slowing and is out of the front-running battle, that's for sure. After looking so strong early on, here is the battle for 3rd. Mike Fitzgerald, Bill Auberlen, Porsche versus BMW. Auberlen has had a very busy day. He's just won the first Speed Touring Car race of the year in fine style. Here he is battling for a podium spot early on in the GT race. But the weather is closing in on us. We'll keep you up to date with that. But up front, our pole man looks good.
Takeout dinner.
Welcome back to Sebring International. The GT action continues. Lee Diffie, Johnny O'Connell with you here in the booth, and Andrew Marriott downstairs in pit lane. It's Phil McClure, Randy Popes, Mike Fitzgerald, and Bill Auberlen in the BMW chasing the Porsche, Audi, and this, the leading Corvette. I can update you that Hans Stuck, the legendary sports car racer competing in the Speed GT Championship this year for PTG, however he's driving the Macmillan Motorsport car, is making great progress. Meanwhile, John Young's tremendous start has come to a halt. Speaking of Stuck, let's ride with him. He's up to 12th, can you believe that? From 32nd, now make it 11th as he dives on the inside of Michael Pulver.
That was a beautiful move by Hans, and it's really cool because I think right now you see him in a take no prisoners mode, and Hans can still get very motivated behind the wheel of a race car. He loves winning, and I got to tell you, I like it when Hans wins because he always gets up on the podium and yodels. So maybe he'll get a caution and to catch everyone back up. But here we see Boris, and it looks like they got his problems worked out. He's a couple laps down, but you know, again, he's a fighter. He's going to see what he can't do. And remember, these BMWs, they don't have a whole lot of time on them yet. So they're going to use this, certainly in the case of Boris, as an opportunity to learn what the car likes, what it doesn't like. And even though Boris isn't in it for the race, he's going to be taking messages and talking to the crew to tell them what this race car is like.
And Hans Stuck can thank, as we look at the third PTG car, Bill Auberlen, Hans Stuck can thank his teammate in a bizarre kind of way, Boris said, for suffering those brake problems early on, because Boris's problems held the race start up a little. That allowed the team a little more work time on Stuck's car, and tremendous effort and congratulations to the PTG outfit. They fixed that differential and rear axle problem in very swift time to get Hans Stuck back out there.
You know, watching this race here between Auberlen and I think that's Fitzgerald, you know, these cars look really closely matched. The Porsche might just have a little bit of mid-range. I mean, I'm watching Billy come off the corner. He's sticking with him pretty good, but just around the middle range when you're in the third, fourth gears, it looks like that Porsche pulls out just a little bit.
We talk about new cars, and the Audi is running well. Popes was battling before with John Young, but Young is now out of the race. Andrew Marriott can tell us more.
Well, Jerry Hand is the crew chief on John Young's car. Jerry, you've just spoken to John. Problem with the motor, I understand.
Yeah, we aren't sure if it's a valve train problem or what happened inside, but something laid down just as he took the lead.
Big disappointment for you.
Yeah, we worked hard all winter, and John especially hard. We're very disappointed, but we'll be back next week at Lowe's.
Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3, and 4, but there's a fair gap between first and second. Let's focus on the battle for second. It's Audi versus Porsche, and a BMW in behind, the German giants battling it out in the Speed GT Championship. Look at Fitzgerald really starting to apply plenty of pressure to Randy Popes now.
He really is, you know, and again, Randy's mature. He knows what he's got to do. He knows what his race car can do. But one thing, I've rarely seen Randy Popes drive dirty or drive, you know, in a way that's not sportsmanlike. So I think you're going to see some good, clean driving from him. And hopefully we'll see the same respect given by Fitzgerald and Billy behind him. These guys, it's early in the season, and you know, right now I think that Fitzgerald's feeling Randy out, seeing where he's strong, where he's weak, and where he might be able to get that Porsche by that Audi.
And look who's ready to pounce. Bill Auberlen sitting in there in that PTG BMW M3, set for one of these two guys in front to make a mistake. We look further back, the second champion Audi RS6, the 2 times defending champion Michael Gallardi. Then we pick up David Farmer, Jimmy Adams, followed by Jim Rathman. That's how they sit at the moment. There's some good individual battles happening out on the track.
There really are, you know, I mean, it's fun to see this when you see all these different...
Whoa, that's Michael Gallardi. He has spun whilst in 5th place, so he has lost at least 3 or 4 positions. And look who was there, Hans Stuck. He rounds up Michael Gallardi, so Stuck has made up at least another 3 or 4 positions since we last saw him.
Stuck is cooking driving through this field. That is amazing that he's gotten that close to Tim Weens. having started in pit lane. And right now, you know, Weems is probably wondering who the heck is behind me right now. And when he gets the call over the radio, it's Hans Stuck. It's going to make it a little bit easier for him to let him by or make a mistake. That's pressure that he's feeling right now.
Great work inside the cockpit with Hans Stuck, second, third, and fourth. This is the battle we focus on now. Well, if you were with us earlier during the touring car race, it was not lackluster, but it wasn't as action-packed as we're used to. The GT race is providing all the action this weekend, that's for sure. Here comes Mike Fitzgerald now, the outside, into the final turn. The move for second, he pulls it off.
He got that beautiful move. I mean, Randy did what he could for protecting that inside line, but there's not much you can do with Fitzgerald. You know, it's really interesting, though, watching those cars go down the straightaway. It looks like right now Oberlin's problem is he doesn't have the top end that the other guys do. But he's staying close, which means he's good on the brakes, he's good in the corners. Obviously, Randy is not giving up here, but Fitzgerald, based on the strength of his car, you know, having that mid-range power, will probably be able to pull away here.
Let's not forget, as Bill Oberlin drops a wheel off, let's not forget about our race leader, Phil McClure in the Corvette. A great pole effort, and he's running nice up front.
There's a rhythm to the road, and we have the Toyo tire only on speed.
Welcome back. Well, you see Michael Galati just limping out of the pits here all through practice. The new Audi had problems with the brakes, and I think that problem has reoccurred. But he will go back onto the racetrack, but Michael Galati is not going to win this one, Lee.
Not today, Andrew, that's for sure, but it's a learning experience for everyone associated with this new Audi RS6, and a very good job done by the champion team. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Let's have a look at the replay. Michael Galati. No one around. Just spun by himself. Perhaps those brake problems. Now let's have a look why Randy Pobst is back in fourth. Oof.
Boy, I tell you what, that bird wasn't going to hunt, was it, as they say in the South? Yeah, I mean, really, you're not going to get by anyone right there. I think maybe Billy was just trying to loosen him up. I don't think he wanted to turn him around, but again, these guys are playing for keeps. This is serious. You're out here to win. There's championships on the line, and when you represent a manufacturer, you're expected to get results. And right now, all these guys are trying to do that.
And Stuck, another one. Has he got it? Jimmy Adams, side by side for seventh. Oh, squeezes Jimmy hard there and moves forward yet another one. Take no prisoners. Hans Stuck, look out everyone ahead. Here he comes.
This is some beautiful racing, you know. And it's fun because you know these guys are enjoying knowing when they look in the rearview mirror that they're going to do battle with Hans Stuck. And you know, I guess if you're a golfer, you know, it'd be like playing with Tiger Woods or something. Hans is certainly one of the legends of our sport. And man, you're seeing him in full get-out mode. The only thing that would make this better for Hans is if all those rain clouds came in, because then you'd really see him put on a driving exhibition.
So far, no caution flags in this one. You can see Michael Galati there circulating very, very slowly. Meanwhile, we take a look at our race leader in the Corvette. Part of the powerful Aggregate Industries 3R racing organisation, McClure is doing a very nice job. Meanwhile, in pit lane, Wolfgang Ulrich from Audi watching on carefully.
Only on speed.
From Hans Stuck to Bill Oberlin, and Oberlin is in trouble.
Boy, you know what? I don't know what that is. He might have lost a coolant hose or something, but he spun in some sort of fluid there. See if anyone else is getting loose.
Randy Pobst goes through, and Oberlin is trying to salvage as much as he can. Here comes Hans Stuck. He could lose a position to his teammate. Hans has been on a charge, so Stuck now moves up into the top four, and Oberlin gets going again, but was certainly in a huge cloud of smoke.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I mean, he is not slowing down. Now, if he had an engine problem, you know, he'd be having alarms go off on his dash. That, you know, there was definitely a lot of smoke coming out from under that thing. We're going to have to see what it was. I mean, it could be a power steering unit or something like that, but...
And Weens goes past, Jimmy Adams goes past. Oberlin is losing quite a few positions courtesy that problem. Let's take a look at a replay, see if we can work out exactly what it is.
Boy, you know, that's so hard to tell. I mean, you could say that's a tire dragging, but then when he spins here, you know, that it really kind of spins like he's on some sort of fluid. So, you know, either a hose to his coolant system fell off or a power steering problem. But, you know, whatever it is, I tell you what, Billy had a great race going. And, you know, that's a shame. You know, but again, it's their first race, and it's been bad luck for Bill, for Boris. But man, Hans Stuck is on fire today. He's having a great race.
And Stuck powering on, now up into fourth. And also powering towards us are those storm clouds. Gennady Soika in the Porsche in trouble. Doesn't seem to be too much damage done to the number 40 machine, so he's okay and going again. Let's have a look at the replay, see if we can decipher what happened here, Johnny O'Connell.
This is a hairpin going into turn 7. He carries a lot of speed in, and he looks good. I think he just pulled the trigger a little bit too quickly there, and it got away from him. That's a tough one.
A lot of sand on the circuit down there as
well.
well.
You know, like in the previous race, guys drop wheels, and it looks like we have another Audi again. That's Galati, and boy, you know what? As a defending champion, this is killing him. You know, especially because he's got, you know, the previous years he has not had a hot rod driving teammate. No offense to the guys that you know that he was, but now he's got a guy who's in Randy Popes, who really wants to win races, and Mike knows that he's going to have to really push hard to win races and defend his championship.
Bill Auberlen now starts to apply the pressure. He's got his momentum back. That problem from earlier doesn't seem to be affecting him anymore, and he chases after Jimmy Adams. Just to finish that point on the Audis earlier, Champion Audi did a tremendous job to build those cars from scratch in 15 weeks, so just a little over 3 months to get them ready for this first race meeting. They did not have a lot of testing time. So those teething problems can be expected.
It can be, and you know what? The champion guys, the team that are preparing that are a great group of guys. But is it just me being a Chevy guy, or did Ulrich look a little bit disappointed and there was a Chevrolet out front? I had to stick that in there. You know, Ulrich, he's a great guy, and the Audi program has meant so much to sports car racing, and they're up in their game. But, you know, again, in defense of the champion guys, you know, none of these teams really have had the chance to run and test the way they want to, and it's going to be interesting to see how teams adapt before our next race.
Did I hear your southern accent come on a little thicker then? Here comes Bill Auberlen on the inside of Jimmy Adams. Tim Weens just ahead. It's tight. And Auberlen will put the squeeze on Jimmy Adams now. BMW versus Porsche. And the experience of Auberlen shows. Bill is through to grab another position.
That was an aggressive maneuver by Billy, but again, you know, he's doing what he has to do. He wants to get back up to Hans, you know, and I'm guessing because this car is running. Now, there was something that came off. It had to have been a power steering problem. You see him protecting his position a little bit there. Billy's pushing really, really hard today.
It's still McClure in the Corvette. We haven't seen much of him. There's Thomas Milner from the PTG team looking on. His best driver is Stuck.
There's a rhythm to the road, and we have the Toyota tire.
Be more of them.
Rated E for easy. Easy as Dell. Dell PCs use Intel Pentium 4 processors.
The opening round of the Speed GT Championship continues from Sebring, and so too does Bill Auberlen's charge. Look at this on Tim Weens. Carbon copy move to what he did to Jimmy Adams a lap ago.
You know what, Lee? I think Billy found a spot where his car works well. He's good in 14, 15, 16. We've seen him pass 2 Porsches, and it was going into through 15 that I think he helped Randy Popst off a little bit. So that's where Billy's really strong now.
Let's find out what his earlier problems were.
Well, Lee, the problem with Bill Auberlen was that the power steering pump, well, actually a pipe to that pump split. All the fluid came spurting out, and that's what he spun on. So that spin you saw wasn't Billy's fault. Now, of course, he's driving the car without power steering. So I think his old forearms might be a little bit sore at the end of this race. But Billy Auberlen's back on the charge, and of course, Hans Stuck, what a great drive from him in Jeff McMillan's old car.
And from what I understand, McMillan actually will get that car back later in the year. PTG will continue to develop that, so that could be a bonus for McMillan later in the year. Let's talk about our race leader, though, Phil McClure. is powering on. If you missed the top of the show, set a new qualifying lap record by 6.6 seconds. And partially the reason for that, other than his good driving, these guys are all now on the controlled Toyo race tyre as opposed to the road tyre from last year. Huge difference, John.
There really is, and it seems like those new Toyos really suit the Chevrolet Corvette here. Again, having the pole, he's looking so strong. He's opened up a big gap, and you know, right now we're watching him. He's not forcing anything. He's not having to use all the road. He's probably getting lap times from the pits as we look back to the course of Fitzgerald. And then further back, again, that is the lap car Mike Hartley. But again, McClure right now, and there's third place, Randy Pope. So you can see he's opened up a big gap. And so he's in a position now where he can really look after his car.
Let's ride with Hans Stuck for a moment.
This is great as he goes through 14, 15, and 16. Listen to how soft he is with his pedals. Soft on the throttle. You saw him getting a point by there, but did you see what he was doing with that throttle? How soft he was.
Beautiful onboard vision and sound from Hans Stuck, the legend himself, running in a very strong fourth. And again, if you missed the top of the show, Stuck had some differential and axle problems before this race started. He was forced to begin his race from pit lane. He just gave the team the thumbs up there on the pit wall, said everything's going great, and he has come from 32nd to 4th. A stunning drive from the sports car legend. Jim Rathman, rookie this year in the Speed GT Championship, and a very solid drive from him to start the 2003 season.
You know, he's doing a great job, but an interesting thing, as you saw him go through turn 1 there, Sebring is a racetrack that was built on an old Air Force base, and so you've got these runways that we're running on. You could see how rough his car was going over the bumps. I don't think they have the dampening, you know, the shock absorbers quite right on that car yet, because he is still a little bit harsh on those bumps.
Stuck gets past Hartley. Continues on. We'll let Hans Stuck take us to the break.
Wealth.
We continue on here at Sebring International, the opening round of the Speed GT Championship. And look at those skies. The rain, the storm is coming. However, the day is getting worse and worse for Boris Said. He has a flat front tyre to add to his brake problems from earlier. He started the race some 2 laps down, and he will go down another lap. There is our race leader, Phil McClure. Look at that front right.
You know what, I gotta tell you, Boris has had about one of the worst weekends you can possibly have. I mean, getting run into in pit lane is bad. The start he had of this race where the front tire's locked up, bad. Now he's got a puncture. It's even worse. You know, if this rainstorm starts, Boris is the one guy I'm not gonna want to stand around, because you know lightning's gonna be striking right next to him.
You may have just seen a shot of one of the Audi RS6s going very slowly. That was Michael Gallardi, who has not had a very enjoyable opening race to his title defense, going for 3 consecutive Speed GT championships. He will not finish in the points today.
You know, Lee, Michael has really dominated the series the past couple years. He has been the guy that, you know, when they showed up at the racetrack, he was the big dog. But again, with BMW coming in, and we see that looks like a spin by Rathman. It looks like he just ran wide in turn 10 there. There's no grip out there whatsoever. If you don't get down to that apex, that is the result. You know, again, if we go back to the start, remember that Andretti had that little incident
with Victor Contreras.
Victor Contreras, so maybe there's some fluid out there. But, you know, again, getting back to my thoughts, we've got some big teams in it now. Audi's not the only run. You've got BMW as well with some strong drivers. So I think everyone is going to have to up their game. Mike Galati, he's been a great champion. If he wants to keep that championship to himself, he's going to have to push real hard.
Look at the vibration on the steering wheel from that front flat tire. Boris said, a very dejected Boris. Usually he is the life of the party at any race meeting. His patience has been tested this weekend. His teammate flies by, Bill Oberlin, and all Boris is trying to do is limp around. He's almost at pit lane. He's coming down into turn 17, Sunset Bend. There's no sun this afternoon, that's for sure. There's dark clouds above. One thing that's quite deceiving is the television cameras allow a lot more light. It looks lighter than what it is. Here at Sebring, it is very, very dark.
You can see the rain coming down not far away, and I keep wondering whether it's going to hit. What Boris just did, though, is bring a car all the way around the racetrack. That's so hard to do because you've got to go a speed at which you're not totally slow out there, but not so fast that you destroy that tire, because if it starts flapping around, it's going to ruin all the bodywork. So that is a very frustrating experience.
Battle for 6th we focus on now, and Jim Rathman gets a little taily, chasing Tim Weens. We should add that that replay you saw earlier was at the incident while we were away in a commercial break, and he slipped from 5th back to 7th. Now he's trying to get back up past the 33 Porsche of Tim Weens for 6th. And we are in the closing stages of the opening round. Just like the Touring Car Championship, we look forward to the next round at Mossport in Canada. The beginning of an exciting season for the Speed GT Championship. Part of course, the Speed World Challenge. As we ride again with the famous Austrian Hans Stuck sitting in 4th and looks pretty good to take those points away today.
By shipping and handling. Rush delivery available.
Welcome back to Sebring, the closing stages of round 1, the 2003 Speed GT Championship, and what a superb run it has been for this Corvette driver, Phil McClure, our pole sitter. Hasn't led the entire race. Boy, oh boy, those Audi R6s blasted from the line. Those 475 brake horsepower Quattro Audis, they just took off. McClure had to work hard. John Young in the Saline dropped out. But right here at turn 1, McClure made a stunning pass, went from 3rd to 1st. And Johnny, he has not looked back.
You know, he hasn't. And what I'm watching right now, and where that Chevrolet Corvette is the best, over the bumps. I mean, that car, and it's unique to McClure's car. I don't know whether or not Rathman's got his car working that well, but is so good over the bumps. So that, I think, is a difference today.
Our reigning champ is out of this one. Let's find out why. Here's Andrew.
Well, Michael, I'll just dive in a second. No dream debut for the A6, I'm afraid. What was the problem? Was it brakes?
I tell you, the car was a fantastic start. We don't know what happened, but I went to the European, a downshift. The reel locked up, I got sideways, and then I restarted, took it off, and sounds like maybe the clutch or the rear end, something like that. You know, that's what it is when you get a car we haven't tested all. It makes it, but I tell you, the package is good. Champion Racing done a fantastic job. The RS6 is going to be
Such a shame now it's lightning over there and it could rain any moment. It would have been perfect for this car.
Oh, look, I started seeing raindrop on the windshield. I'm like, my God. I think if it's going to rain, he's going to have a good shot, I think.
Thanks very much, Lee. A disappointed champion, but I think he'll be a winner pretty soon.
Plenty of the season to come. But it's always helpful to start the opening round with maximum points, or at least some, but Galati's a champion. He knows how to do it. Here we go, battle on here. Rathman and Weens. This has been going on for a number of laps now. Corvette versus Porsche. It's the battle for 6th, and Weens continues to defend.
Weens brought that in deep and did a great job defending that position against Rathman. That was really nice driving. I like the way he did that. But again, he's gonna, you know, he's got 2 laps where he's gonna have to keep doing that because Rathman is pushing him really, really hard.
The beauty about the Speed World Challenge, whether it be touring car or GT, not only is it the variety of manufacturers, but it is the variety of winners. And this guy, Phil McClure is looking down the barrel. He is less than 1 lap away from his maiden Speed GT victory.
Watch this car, Lee, as it was going over the bumps. I mean, it was just looking gorgeous, so really nicely balanced. As we get back to the Strathman battle, he closed up so tight, but then brought it into 14 and 15 and 16 too deep. All that advantage, all the hard work he'd done the previous 3-4 laps to get up to him, he just threw it away. So now it's going to make it a whole lot more difficult for him with this lap, final lap to get that position.
Lance Stewart, who we say congratulations to, receives the Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Started 31st, and the 76 machine is running a very positive 12th position. I just can't believe how lucky we've been, Johnny O, with those storm clouds. We have still not had rain on the track as yet, and we are almost done.
Hey, we really are. I mean, this has been, about the only one that hasn't had good luck today has been Bill Morissette with all the luck he's had. But I think we're going to get this one.
Whoa! Jim Rathman goes around again.
Yeah, that was, he's pushing awfully hard. And, again, we saw him 2 corners before, or going all the way back to 14, 15, and 16, losing the back end because he's trying to drive into the corners too deep. And, that's a lesson learned for him. Getting back to Lance Stewart, I've known Lance a long time. He's an ex-GTU champion and a great driver. I tell you what, if he were to get into one of these top rides, he'd be winning races. He's a strong driver, and I'm glad to see him having a good result today. But, boy, the Chevrolet Corvette right now is it's looking like everyone's probably wishing they were in Phil McClure's car, because he's been dialed in all weekend. Pole position is at the end of his last lap. Going into a storm here.
Oh, did you see that lightning bolt just then on the right-hand side? We ride with Boris said. He was sadly 3 laps down. I'd be surprised if you see Boris in that predicament again this year. Final corner for Phil McClure. Corvette came up with 1 victory last year. That was at the hands of David Farmer. But McClure will give Corvette their first one this year. Round 1, McClure takes his maiden Speed GT victory. Sensational stuff. The Aggregate Industries 3R team will be delighted with that. What a strong run. He has beaten the might of the new Audi R6s. He has beaten the BMWs. He has beaten the Porsches. McClure is the man. We'll be back to wrap it up here on Speed after this.
Motorcycle fun.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by the US Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. Well, we accelerated enough just in time to beat this. Look at those storm clouds. It has arrived, and I don't know how, but we have beaten it. The car's just coming in off the track now, and it looks like it is going to be a mighty storm. Let's have a look at how they finished the opening round of the Speed GT Championship as everyone clambers for cover. McClure, Fitzgerald, Popes, the podium place getters. Excellent effort from Hans Stuck to finish 4th. Tim Weens equals his best result. We also see Fellows, who hasn't raced in 4 years, finish in the top 10. Good effort also by Jimmy Adams to get there in 8th. Charles Espenlaub, not bad as a GT rookie, finishing inside the top 15, and Tom Holfelder in the Morgan finishing in the top 20 as well. We take a look back, the final page of results, and 3 big names that we don't usually see back there. Galati, Said, and Young, some problems today. But McClure is celebrating, and so he should. He's with Andrew Marriott.
Your first victory in this series, and you did it in such great style.
The car, the 3R crew the 3R racing crew had this car just working perfectly. I don't know what happened with...
Thank you, Boris. That is Boris there. Yeah, we got water over our mic, but Phil's going to carry on as if nothing had happened. Phil.
They had the car just working perfectly from the very first lap. I don't know what happened to John Young and Randy there on the front stretch, whether John had something let go. But it worked to my advantage. I knew once I got out front, I'd had the fast car all weekend, and I was pretty sure I could just stay out there and stay ahead.
What about that pass in turn 1 when you went round both of them? Really wide on the outside, and I thought you weren't going to make it.
That was fun. Like I say, the car was just absolutely stuck to the ground. We've had some help from GM Motorsports this year, and it's really paid off. And the 3R guys have just got this thing hooked.
Well done. Go up and get all the laurels, the beautiful trophy. This is a day you won't forget for a long time.
No, it isn't. Thank you very much.
The boys dodging the rain and the lightning bolts down there already as we take a look at the championship points after this opening round. The top 5, the Chevy Corvette, in the hands of Phil McClure, leads the Speed GT Championship. Fitzgerald, Oakes and Stuck. Nice work. And Bill Aublin, a tough old day for Bill. He had to fight very hard, Johnny.
He really did. I tell you what, it was a great race, but the factories, they didn't deliver. They're going to have to do more work because Phil McClure showed them how to get it done today.
Well, there is quite a substantial break between now and the next round at Mosport in Canada. They can go away. They can work on these cars and develop them some more. They know what they've got in store for this year. They know what they've got to work with. There was plenty of biff and barge today. There was plenty of action. It was a good season opener.
It really was. You know, you feel bad for Galati. You always like to see that defending champion have a good first race, but again, he's going to be strong all season long, as is Forrest, Billy, the whole gang. It's going to be a great year.
On behalf of Andrew Marriott and Johnny O'Connell, I'm Lee Diffie. Thanks for joining us for Speed GT.